it is Greg Milby, Kentucky's Heartland and Kentucky'sHeartland.com. Welcome in. Glad to have you with us. This is Entertaining the Heartland as we talk about things that are going on in our community that you definitely need to know about and be a part of. We have with us today Madison Fogle from Central Hardin High School. We also have Sarah Dakin with us from Central Hardin High School and Kay Mao, who's representing Central Hardin High School and also the Hardin County Playhouse. So we're going to talk about the Crucible.
Yep.
Which is, I've not had a chance to read a book. Not had a chance to. I know, Madison, you're shocked by that.
Crazy.
See, I put Madison next to me because Madison is kind of like one of my faux daughters. I have a few of them, so I figured I needed her within reach. So she kind of gets out of line. I can pull her back in. But this is deep. This
Absolutely.
is very deep. So talk about the Crucible. Give us the Cliff Notes version of it.
Okay, so the Crucible was written by Arthur Miller in the 1950s when the United States was in the midst of McCarthyism and the Hollywood blacklist. So it was kind of a time where he was like, I can't really write about what is happening around me, but wow, this thing that really happened to people 300 years ago is a lot like it. And so he went back into the transcripts of the actual Salem witch trials and kind of came up with a story for the stage. So it's some of the characters are fictionalized. Most of the characters are for real people, but maybe the relationships between them are a little bit different. But, went back and looked at what might have motivated some of this to happen, where people in this small community started accusing each other of witchcraft. And once people started accusing each other, names started getting named, and then somebody else's name would get named, and then you better not speak out against it because then you must be a witch too. Which for him was very much like what was happening in the 50s, where all it took was somebody suspecting you were a communist and there went your career. So we were really interested in the Crucible. First of all, it's in the curriculum. The juniors read it at school all around the state, I think.
Yep.
Kay teaches junior English. And so it was something that students would know. But also, I really like doing things that have a historical tie-in because the arts let us see things. Last year we did Radium Girls. And that was a thing that everybody was like, what? This really happened, So the arts let us look into our history in a way that makes it more dynamic and makes us really consider like, oh, have we learned from this? And, with Salem, it's horrifying in how many ways we haven't learned from it.
So when you decided to do this, a lot of the shows with the drama club, do they have the history side of it all too?
We've done a few. Like our musical this year was Urinetown, which is kind of a dystopian satire, but very much ties into more, kind of a social side. So, some years we do Footloose. Some years we did Xanadu a few years ago. So we like to mix it up and make sure that we have some real substance in there mixed in with stuff that's just fun. But I think especially for young people, they need to know that the arts is a way that they can say something about the world and learn something about the world by doing it.
So, Kay, I know you're kind of representing both Central Hardin and also the Hardin County Playhouse. How did this is the first time the Hardin County Playhouse and Central Hardin Drama have kind of collaborated together. So how did that happen?
Well, it was all Sarah's idea.
Blame Sarah. Blame Sarah.
She emailed a few of us about it in the summer to see what we thought if it would happen, which during the summer was when we didn't know if the Playhouse was going to have a season this year because we were going through our move and all of those events. So we were just happy to jump on board and have a show to do when it all started. And so now it's a lot grown into, we actually do have a performance space. So that's where it all began, was her brain.
Well, and it's a play, especially because the students know it. It's a play I've wanted to do, but because the dynamic of what happened is most of the accusations come from these, young girls and teenagers and young women, that I didn't think it would play having somebody as articulate and put together as Madison playing a teenage girl versus a teenage boy playing a grown man. Like the dynamic wouldn't be there. And so I had never tried it before just with the students, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to make sure that we kept HCP out there and people knew that HCP was still relevant, but would also give us an opportunity for all kinds of different actors to work together.
So how's the cast go? I mean, did you have certain roles that you knew that were going to be for students?
Right.
And then the rest would fill with Hardin County Playhouse?
Right. So when I started advertising it, I said there are 5 named girls in the script. Those will be Central Hardin students. The boys can audition for whatever they might fit, but we had a audition for the girls at school, and then everybody else came to a public audition.
All right, cool. So Madison, what made you decide you wanted to do this?
I've always been kind of a theater kid. I've been in the drama club for 4 years now. With marching band, it's kind of difficult, but I always do the spring show with them. And so when they said the Crucible, I was like, yeah, I guess I'll do it. I didn't read the Crucible.
You said,
my
yeah, I
junior
guess I'll
year.
do it. That didn't sound very committed.
Well, I mean, straight plays aren't something that I'm particularly used to. I've grown up doing musicals, and marching band was just wrapping up, and it's my senior year, and I didn't really know what the Crucible was about because I didn't read it my junior year. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I'll do whatever they're putting on.
So talk about the adjustment from a musical to this. How much of a challenge has that been for you?
I mean, not really. Like, I've always been more of the speaking lines kind of person instead of the singing and dancing. Memorizing lines is a lot harder than memorizing a song or a dance because our brains are wired to know music better.
Yeah.
But rehearsal-wise, we have a lot less rehearsals for straight plays than we do for musicals because there's less choreography, there's less picking out harmonies, and it's more just picking out like dynamics between people and like making things look natural.
Yeah, it's important. Now, with that being said, when did you guys cast these, and how long have you been rehearsing?
So we auditioned right around Thanksgiving. We had a read through the November 30th, I think. And then we took a couple weeks off around Christmas because when you're dealing with 37 people, you're not going to get everybody at rehearsal at the same time around Christmas anyway. And then we've rehearsed a lot of weeks just 2 or 3 times a week, which is different for, Madison and I are used to rehearsing every day after school, but with adults, obviously we couldn't do that. So it's been a different process than we're used to. So we needed it to be a little bit longer, and a lot of the adult actors from HCP are used to rehearsing 4 nights in a row, and then the rest of your week is off. And so like, it's taken a lot of flexibility from everybody to be like, okay, here's where I could get rehearsal space for this week. These are when we're going to rehearse, because that's the other thing with, we're grateful to ECTC to have the place to perform, but there are classes in there. There are other events that have to happen in there, so we can't always rehearse there. Obviously, we can't always rehearse at the PAC because the PAC is so busy. So we've rehearsed a couple times a month at NOLIN in the Cooperative Meeting Center. EC3 has given us 1 night a week. We've a few times at ECTC over, a couple times a month. So we've really kind of hopped around, and the actors have had to like put the space in their mind at each place and be able to transfer that. So I think that helps us with the fact that we're going to perform at the PAC and then also at the ECTC auditorium, that we've already rehearsed it in 4 different places. Like performing it in 2 different places won't be too bad.
So, all right, let's talk about it. And that is very unique. That, and I'll go ahead and just kind of put the graphic up there.
Right.
That March 8th and March 9th, it's going to be at the PAC, and then again March 15th and 16th, it moves over to ECTC's Science Auditorium. So, talk about the challenge of that, because you had mentioned the stages are different. So. All of you kind of tell me the challenges you guys see from that.
Well, Madison, do you want to talk about it from an acting perspective?
Yeah, I can. It's very different because everywhere you go, there's like different lighting, there's different floor space, there's different props for the first half of rehearsals. But like when we're at ECTC, Miss Dakin will be like, Madison, can't you see your face from this side of the auditorium? You have to like make sure you're sticking out. But when we get to the PAC, the stage is much flatter. And so it's just different because you have to remember always like where you are and like and the size too. Yesterday we were running through lighting at ECTC and I almost fell off the stage. Because
it's much smaller, more of an intimate space, where the PAC has got so much more space. It makes it. So do you do you adjust it for the next week for the pack, or do you kind of keep it more
Well,
compact?
Because I'm used to staging shows for the pack, I staged it for the pack. And then when we started rehearsing at ECTC, we would say, okay, here's how this needs to be tweaked. And this is how, you can't sit next to her there because you're bigger than her, and this side of the audience will see her. So how about you stand behind that bench instead, and that sort of thing. And then there's one part where at the pack, we've got it, the scrim is like a transparent fabric that so you can have one thing happening in front and see through it, whatever's behind. So we're using that at the pack. Well, obviously there's not room for that at the ECTC auditorium. So we worked out a thing where I have the people who would go around the scrim and back out in front are actually going down the stairs to the floor and coming back up the other side of the stage. And just, I told the cast when like it was difficult for them to figure it out. I was like, this is like when I tried to drive in Scotland. You have to do it backwards, and it's gonna blow your mind for a little bit, but it's gonna work, So, but I've been really grateful that the cast has been so flexible and just like, okay, whatever, we'll figure it out.
Well, and that puts us to the point to where tickets. People want to come to the show. Is this geared for all ages, Kay, or is it, or do you think parents need to think about who they bring to the show?
I would not bring any little tiny kids to the show because we are having pretty deep material here with obviously the witchcraft and affairs going on and things like that. I would recommend anybody in high school, especially if they've already read The Crucible, they should come and see it. I think it's great for adults too, just because of the history lessons that it points out that are still relevant today.
Okay, so what are ticket prices?
It depends on which location you are at, which
Okay.
I just recommend everybody come see it at both, because then you're benefiting.
It's not two different shows, but I guess in a way it is two
In a
different
way,
shows.
yeah.
Because the staging will be different, lighting will be different.
Absolutely.
Plus, the first weekend at the pack, all the proceeds are going to go to Central Hardin Drama Club. Those tickets are only going to be $5 each. Then at ECTC, when it's for the Playhouse, the tickets will be $10, which is a reduced rate from our normal ticket price.
And
But
somebody
that
pointed
supports
out
us.
last night, you can actually see it in both places for less than what a normal HCP ticket is. So,
That's a good point.
yeah.
That's somebody in marketing.
It is,
I'm
yeah.
telling you. It's good. So how do they get the tickets? Do you get them at the door? Can you order them is there a website or is there a way to get them?
The performances at the pack, they can get them at the door, cash or check. At HCP, there is a way to order your tickets online through the HCP website, which is just hardincountyplayhouse.com. Or they can buy those at the door as well. Because we're in the ECTC auditorium, it's general admission there instead of the reserved seats that patrons might be used to.
Okay.
But that gives them kind of a chance to like look around the new space and see where they might be more comfortable too, instead of just coming in.
So
and
you get them through Hardin County Playhouse's website, and you can also get it through the pack, did you say? Or
no, just at the door when they come.
At the door. Okay. All right. And we'll have that information below the video that you're watching. I'm pointing right now because it'll look cool at that point. They'll be like, oh, yeah, it is right below that.
I can totally
in their
see it.
mind.
It's gonna be right
in
there.
your mind.
That's
They can
right.
see it. But
And,
right now, we all can see that
Yeah.
it's the Crucible.
And a great reason I pointed out last night at rehearsal for everybody to come see it at HCP is we also use some of our proceeds to fund our $1,000 fine arts scholarship. And that goes to one Hardin County senior or a senior that's just been involved with HCP that is going to major somehow in the arts, and they get $1,000 for their first year of college.
Awesome.
And they have until April 1st to apply. Hint, hint.
Majoring in
That was
history.
geared- hold on,
Oh,
I was thinking,
man.
that's geared toward you.
I'm majoring in history.
All right.
Well, this is the perfect
history.
play
The
for you.
perfect play for that.
All right, so get out and see it. The Crucible, March 8th, 7 o'clock at the Pack, March 9th at 4, and then they shift over to ECTC Science Auditorium on March 15th and 16th. Go see one, go see two, and you know what? You're gonna get a great show,
Or go see all of them.
or all of them.
All four.
Look at that.
All four
I mean,
performances.
all of them are going to be different in some way.
I gotta
So
feel
That's
it.
why
might as
you
well
do
just
live
go
theater.
see all of them, you know?
And like I guarantee my baby bump will be bigger by the second week, so it's like a whole different
There you go.
person.
The show is expanding.
Yeah.
Literally from one week to the
Literally.
next. There you go. Okay, thanks for coming in. Appreciate you coming in, Sarah. It's always good
Yeah,
to see
thanks
you.
for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm just teasing. It's always good to see Madison. Get out and see the Crucible. And again, this is Entertaining the Heartland with Kentucky'sHeartland.com.